So GPT-5 is all the hype right now. Some people love it and some people hate it. And I finally have access to GPT-5 inside my ChatGPT Plus account, and I've spent a lot of time testing it for various tasks related to marketing and content creation. And in this video, I'm going to be covering some real-world use cases that you can use GPT-5 for, and I'm also going to compare it to other AI models such as Claude. So be sure to stick around for the full video. And if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Ryan, and I help business owners and creators leverage AI to scale content, save time, and ultimately make more money online. And if you want to know my favorite AI tools, prompts, and even AI automation templates, be sure to get my free AI Marketing Essentials Guide. I definitely over-delivered with this free guide, and you can get this in the video description or pinned comment below. So before I dive into any real-world examples, there's been a ton of new updates coming out from OpenAI in response to all of this feedback that they're getting about GPT-5. And I'm on ChatGPT Plus, by the way, but GPT-5 is available to all users of ChatGPT. However, if you're on a paid plan and you click the GPT-5 dropdown, we now have different modes here. By default, you're going to be on auto. There's fast mode for instant answers with less reasoning behind it. And then there's also a thinking mode. This is the reasoning capability behind GPT-5. I'm going to be looking at all three of these different modes in this video. Now, we also have legacy models. So because of all the backlash that OpenAI got about removing GPT-4o, which in my opinion wasn't really a great model anyways, I was using Claude Sonnet 4 because I didn't really like GPT-4o, but some people like it, and if you're a paid user of ChatGPT, you now have access to this, and I'd imagine they're going to start to add O3 and maybe some other legacy models in the near future. But that's the very first important point to note here, is that we now have three modes of GPT-5. And if you want further updates on GPT-5, I'd recommend following Sam Altman on X or Twitter. That's where I've been getting all of this information about 4.0 being back, the rate limits, these different modes now with auto, fast thinking, and so much more. So I'd recommend just following him if you want to stay updated on what's going on. Another important point to make here is that if you are on a paid plan of ChatGPT with Plus or Pro, you get way more access and usage of the GPT-5 model. On the Pro plan, you get unlimited access to GPT-5. You also get access to the exclusive GPT-5 Pro, which is apparently even better than the thinking mode. And on ChatGPT Plus, you get extended access to GPT-5. I'm not sure how much more that is versus the free version. If it's 5x, 10x, I don't know the answer to that. But what's interesting here is they say our flagship model versus on the free plan, it says just access to GPT-5. So that makes me wonder, on the free version of ChatGPT, are you even getting access to the official flagship GPT-5 model? Or is OpenAI giving you GPT-5 mini behind the scenes or GPT-5 nano? We don't know the answers to this question, but just something that I would think about. And I would recommend upgrading to Plus if you are serious about getting good results with GPT-5. So I wanted to call that out first. So now let's explore some real-world use cases with GPT-5. And keep in mind that my day-to-day is filled with marketing and content-related tasks. So what I'm going to show you isn't 100% applicable, but it can definitely get the juices flowing. And so real-world use case number one is going to be very simple, and this is ideation. So I started off by using the auto version of GPT-5. And by the way, I will leave all these prompts in the description below if you guys want to remix and use them yourself. But in this particular example, I'm asking for video ideas for my YouTube channel. Provide 5 catchy video ideas with an SEO optimized title and hook targeting content creators and business owners interested in AI. I gave it a screenshot of my channel to kind of test that vision capability of it really quick. And then it provided 5 video titles. Stop wasting time, AI content systems that actually work. The AI tools I'd use if I had to start from scratch in 2025, turn one video into 20 pieces of content with AI. I actually like most of these, right? The No BS guide to AI automation for small businesses. And then it provides a hook. Most small business owners think AI automation is expensive. I'll prove you can set it up in a weekend without coding or hiring a developer. I actually really like some of these ideas. I went ahead and copied this over to another tab with ChatGPT-5 thinking mode. And so here's what the thinking mode came up with versus just the auto mode. GPT-5 for marketing, 5 quick workflows, I don't like these titles. They're not as SEO optimized, in my opinion, as the original five. One, yeah, I would never put an arrow or a plus sign in a title. So I don't necessarily like all these titles per se. So thinking mode isn't good for something like YouTube video title ideation. So let's say I like one of these video ideas and I want to follow up with it. Well, I can come back and just say, now provide me with 3 other SEO optimized title variations and a simple bullet point script I can follow for video number 5, which is the No BS guide to AI automation for small businesses. Provided 3 solid other SEO optimized title variations. And I actually like this bullet point script outline. Hook, section 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the outro call to action. Now, I don't script my videos, but this is something that would be very easy to follow. But let's look at a little more advanced ideation example. So in this ideation example, I asked it for 5 business ideas that would be the fastest for me to hit 10,000 MRR or monthly recurring revenue based on what ChatGPT knows about me, my skills, expertise, etc. The memory capabilities of ChatGPT are only improving, and they're even getting better if you're using projects and GPTs. Then I asked for a 1 to 2 cents explanation of why you chose that business idea. So it took 1 minute and 23 seconds, so kind of long, I guess, if you're comparing it to other AI models. And if I click this, it drops down into its reasoning. So I like that if you want to know all the little details here. And let's look at these ideas. AI Authority Accelerator, Productize Retainer. Funny enough, I've actually used ChatGPT to help me with this, as that is similar to what I'm going to be launching here shortly. YouTube SEO Repurposing Engine for founders. That's something I could definitely do. I'm doing it for myself. AI Research Desk, subscription briefs. I'm not really sure about that one. Performance pay-per-click for cash pay clinics. I'm also doing that right now as well. Custom GPTs and automation build-outs for creators and agencies. That's another viable option. So now let's say, for instance, well, I really like idea 1. Let's come up with actionable and practical next steps to get this off the ground. And the reason I want to show you this right here versus skipping ahead is you'll notice there's an option that says get a quick answer. And if I click that, I think it's going to shift to the fast or auto mode if I click that option there, and then it just spits out an answer. Now, the outputs aren't going to be as good versus if I just let the thinking mode, reason and actually compile all of its thoughts and research. But I just wanted to show you that if you're tired of waiting, you can just click get that fast answer, and then it will come up with a response here. Decline the offer 3 to 5 days, or define the offer, obviously not decline the offer. I wish I could read that. Build proof and sales collateral, identify target niches, blah, 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 right? All these step-by-steps that go into building a 10K MRR business, 90-day sprint framework. But that's a little more advanced example, and I hope I'm just getting the juices flowing for you guys of why ChatGPT or GPT-5 thinking mode can be very useful. Now let's explore another real-world use case of GPT-5, which is email newsletters. And you'll notice I'm using a ChatGPT project here. So this is trained on 13 files, custom instructions, and much more. And you'll also notice I'm on Canvas mode. I would recommend using Canvas mode if you're using ChatGPT at all for writing. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And while that's running in the background, now you'll notice I'm on the auto mode. I'm going to head over to Claude, as this is what I currently use to help me craft my email newsletters. I love Claude Sonnet 4. It's more empathetic, really understands my writing style. And just like that ChatGPT project, this is also trained on knowledge and custom instructions. So this is a more apples to apples comparison versus just using the home screen of ChatGPT or the home screen of Claude. And if you haven't signed up for my email newsletter, I'd highly recommend it. I spent a lot of time and effort into making this one of the best AI email newsletters available. So just a quick plug there. But anyways, let's go back to Claude. And what I'm doing here, I'm going to click enter. What I'm doing in this particular example is I'm basically repurposing one of my YouTube videos into an email newsletter format using best practices, my writing style, tone, etc. And in this instance, one of my videos I just did was the best AI tools for marketing and content creation. So I want to repurpose that using the title and transcript into an email newsletter. And so while these are running in the background, I'm going to skip ahead and wait till these are done. So let's look at the results from GPT-5. The first thing I always look at is the subject line. And of course, I instructed it to output it in this body format and subject line format. And I like how it has the relevant emoji. It has the listicle approach with the 7 AI tools I actually use for marketing. I'd probably remove the in 2025 part, but that's definitely a subject line that I could work with. And if we look at the body, of course, it's following the format that I instructed it with the main sentence up here, the 3 bullet points, you read, I listen. Then it goes right into the AI tools, the 7 AI tools. ChatGPT Plus, 1 to 2 sentence description, Blatato, Claude Pro, Google AI tools. I like how it's very brief, concise. It doesn't go a lot in depth. And then honorable mentions, my takeaway, top AI news this week. It even has some news that's actually relevant. The problem with Claude is it's not very recent. Even with web search, I've noticed it struggles to pull out recent AI news, for instance. So that's definitely a plus there. Call to action at the end, PS, right? So that's definitely something that I could work with. And I might have to go back and rechange how I'm doing things with the project with GPT-5 versus Claude Sonnet 4. What I like about Canvas mode, if you haven't used it a lot, is let's say I want to change something such as this bullet point. Well, if I highlight something and click Ask ChatGPT, you can edit little things within the Canvas mode versus reprompting it, spitting out an entire response, and then going back and forth that way. So I wanted to call that out first. Now let's look at the response from Claude Sonnet 4 and draw some just quick insights and quick comparisons here. So what I like about Claude 2, similar to Canvas mode in ChatGPT, is it automatically generated an artifact. So I just like that right off the bat. Funny enough, if I look at the subject line up here, 7 AI tools I use every day for marketing. 7 AI tools I actually use for marketing in 2025. So both of those are very similar. If I had to just pick one, it would definitely be the one that Claude provided. And if we look at the body, what I notice about the results from Claude, remember, these are very similar instructions, similar training data, etc. This email is a lot longer and more in-depth. Now you'll notice I mentioned the AI news here. OpenAI releases GPT 4.2, Gemini launches 2.6 Flash. That's not even real news, right? And so that's definitely one of the flaws of using Claude if you're doing anything recency related. They just had to call that out. But this is way more in depth. It actually lists the tools down here. But before that, it's going into all about stop tool hopping, start here. There's a lot more information in here that might drop readers off. That's definitely something to think about versus the more condensed and simplistic approach, hoping they reach it to the end, maybe see your PS or any other call to action that you have in that email. But just looking at this from a very high level, I know it's a very simple example. I would have to give the slight nod to GPT-5 in this particular instance. And it is making me rethink if I want to start using this going forward to help refine my email newsletters. I'll probably in the short term still use both this Claude project and that GPT-5 project and just kind of compare results. But as time goes on, I actually really like this output using the project with GPT-5, more condensed. It was a lot quicker to respond as well. That's something else I should call out, is that the response was generated a lot faster versus what I got from Claude Sonnet 4. But when it comes to email newsletters, again, super quick example, have to give the slight edge here to GPT-5 in this particular example. So let's look at another real world example, which would be improving conversion rates for my landing page or opt-in guide. And remember, my opt-in guide is the free AI marketing essentials guide. So be sure to get it if you haven't already, of course, but it is very simple and that's for a good reason. But I'm just curious to see what it's going to say for improvements and recommendations. And in this prompt, I uploaded the image of my opt-in guide. And I also asked that I want to improve the conversion rate. What can I do to increase conversions and also be realistic of expectations, and what can I expect for each change? And so for 58 seconds, I'm on GPT-5 thinking mode. I went ahead and also tested this against Claude Opus 4.1 with extended thinking mode, so Claude's most advanced model, and let's see what it came up with here. What usually moves the needle in priority order? So I like that already of what it's prioritizing versus just a random, 10 recommendations that you should try. Above the fold clarity and less friction. Make the promise outcome-based. Time save clarity results. Quantify what's inside. I actually really like that recommendation. Use a product markup, not a busy classroom photo. That's a very good idea as well. Cut the form to email only. Button copy Keep the form above the fold on mobile, another great idea. Expected lift 10 to 30% from the combo. And then it's even getting more granular than that. Email only, benefit driven CTA, cleaner hero, and mockup. So I really like the granularity there, if that's a word, of what it's telling me to prioritize in order to improve the conversion rates of that opt-in guide. Then it's saying specific social proof. That's another great idea. What's inside, bonus reciprocity, message match from YouTube, trust and speed, copy you can test. And then it's even went a step further and it's providing me copy. I didn't even ask for that. Layout tweaks, social proof, yada, yada. So it actually came up with a very in-depth response here. What to result, realistic ranges, give me a typical relative lift percentage expectations. I actually really like that response, especially this recommendation number 1. I've heard that from others of how I can improve this landing page. And if we go look at Claude Opus 4.1, exact same prompt, exact same image, strengthen your headline. So it's saying high impact changes, 5 to 15%, current free A-Day marketing essentials guide. Yeah, that's fine. Simplify to email only. So that's the other recommendation. Add urgency and scarcity. Medium impact changes. So I don't like how, or I guess, I don't necessarily like that. Strengthen your headline as the very first recommendation. I'm not sure how that would increase it by 10 to 15% versus what ChatGPT 5 is saying here with above the fold and less friction. And then if we look at what else Claude Opus is showing me, realistic overall expectations, 20, 25%, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, while this isn't bad by any means, again, I have to give the nod to GPT-5 thinking mode here in this very specific instance of helping me trying to improve conversion rates for my landing page. I'm curious if you guys test it for the same thing with your landing page or opt-in guide and seeing what you get. But I'm actually super impressed with how actionable and practical these recommendations are. So let's look at another real world use case for GPT-5, and this is going to be on the topic of social media. More specifically, captions based on the file names that I provided. So in this particular instance, I've uploaded a folder of all these different videos with the file names, and I've optimized these file names based on the topic and target keyword. So I basically want GPT-5 to write me SEO optimized captions for each platform with best practices, attention grabbing hook, blah, blah, blah. You'll notice I'm using a custom GPT for this called the Video to Social Media Post GPT. I'll leave this and the prompt in the description below if you want to use it. Now, first thing to call out is, again, we can come up here and switch our model now to GPT-5 within custom GPTs. I think you can only do this on the plus version of ChatGPT. Even if you're on the free version, I don't think you can switch models there. It could be wrong. But anyways, let's go down and see what it provided after I uploaded the image and included this prompt. So right away, it's listing all of my videos in a numeric output here. So I like that right off the bat. Let's look at some of these examples. So with the video file name, are AI agents overhyped? Are AI agents really the game changer everyone says they are? That's not a bad hook. After testing dozens, I've seen they crush it. What's your take? So then it has relevant hashtags like I instructed. Want to rank higher in Google using AI? AI agents versus automations. What's the difference? Ready to move from SEO heavy work to AI powered automations? AI isn't just writing your emails, it can run entire campaigns. I don't mind these at all. This is the current format that I'm using to generate captions for my social media posts that are performing pretty well overall across all platforms. So I actually really like this. And I applied the same thing to Claude. It spit it out in an artifact format. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over. Are AI agents overhyped? So again, same exact prompt, same image. Everyone's claiming AI agents will replace everything, but are AI agents actually overhyped? So 3 hashtags, followed instructions correctly. Again, I'm using a Claude project for this, similar to that custom GPT. So as I'm just kind of looking through this briefly, I would say this is almost a wash as I just look at this very high level with what the hook is, has that emoji, it has the relevant hashtags down here. Again, it is trained on similar instructions and similar knowledge. But if you don't want to pay for Claude Pro, this is another great use case of generating social media captions with GPT-5. I'm already seeing here as I'm doing these quick little examples and real-world use cases that the writing capabilities have improved actually significantly, in my opinion, from what I used to get from GPT-4o. I don't know what all the buzz was about GPT-4o and why people are complaining. I never liked that model to begin with. And by the way, if you want to know kind of how I'm even automating my entire social media system. I have a full separate tutorial that I literally automate my entire social media through my personal brand using a simple Google Sheet. And you'll notice column C has captions. Well, this is where I'm using Claude or GPT-5 to help me generate these captions based on the media file here, whether that's the video, and then also the title. So I'll leave that separate tutorial in the video description below. But long story short, when it comes to social media captions and short form copywriting and generating engaging hooks and following instructions, I can definitely already see that GPT-5 is a very big improvement from GPT 4.0. And in this particular comparison with my Claude 4 Sonnet results, it's pretty much a wash. I would use either one of these. One's not significantly better than the other, in my opinion, for this particular example. But very impressed to see the strides here from the writing capabilities from GPT-5 to 4.0. So another real world use case that gets people excited is this ChatGPT agent mode. And first and foremost, you have to be on a paid version of ChatGPT to use this. If I click the plus button, click agent mode, what I notice here is that there's no option to even choose model. So I think by default, it's on some variation of GPT-5, but again, only available to paid users of ChatGPT. Now, because this took a while, I already went ahead and did an example of agent mode, and I want to show you the results that I got. I think for this particular, use case, I think agent mode's very valuable. There's still a lot of tweaks and there's a lot of usage limitations behind agent mode, but I like the direction that OpenAI is headed here. And so what I did, and I'd recommend actually applying this to your situation, whether it's your personal brand or even the brand of any company or business, this is still applicable. I need you to research Ryan Dozer across the internet and compile a list of every source that I've been featured on. This will be my digital PR report. I want you to create a spreadsheet with all of these different columns, including the live URL, and then also create a visually appealing report highlighting my important metrics. And so after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe around there, I had to go back and refine it a little bit. It comes down, it provides all of these different charts and graphs that I instructed it to, and then here is my full digital PR report. So Agent literally opened its own browser within ChatGPT. And again, I think it's powered by GPT-5. It probably has to be if that's their flagship model at this point. Went ahead, found every article, podcast, TV interview, media feature, etc., that I've been featured on the internet and compiled this report. It even included all the sources. So on the right-hand side, it even listed out all of these citations right within the interface. It went all the way back from 2023, it looks like. So I like how it includes some charts and graphs here. And then it also followed my instructions of providing a Google Sheet or a spreadsheet. Here's that CSV file. So if I look at it, it looks like it downloaded there to my desktop. Let's pull this up. So I'm going to pull up Google Drive. I'm going to upload the CSV file and let's see if it actually, came up with a really good thing and followed directions. So I'm going to click open with Google Sheets and then let's see what happened here. All right, so it looks like it did follow instructions for the most part. I noticed there's about 20 features here, which is impressive. What I actually am really impressed with is it included that live link URL. So if I were to not use ChatGPT agent and say, hey, create me a spreadsheet with the live URL, if I use like GPT-5 thinking mode or some other variation of GPT-5, I don't believe I would be able to get an output like this. So again, this is really cool how it even provides that live link and then makes it formatted and organized like I instructed it in a spreadsheet. So that's just a really cool use case of GPT-5 is with the agent mode. And again, I'd recommend doing this similar prompt that I did in this example. You would be surprised what you would get. And maybe you were featured on things that you didn't even know about. So just wanted to throw that out there. Now, the last thing I want to explore when it comes to using GPT-5 for real-world situations is how well this model works via API inside automations. If you're brand new to automations, I'll leave my beginner's guide in the video description below, and I'm on make.com, but what I'm showing you also applies to N8N, Zapier, Gumloop, etc. And I'm not going to get into the weeds of this particular automation, but essentially what I'm doing here is I'm repurposing trending news articles via my RSS module. So I'm tracking theverge.com, which is a very popular website that does a lot of top AI news. And then I'm asking AI models like OpenAI or Claude models to respin that trending news into a Twitter or X post. And I'm going to have to actually dump those in a Google Doc versus just going and posting that via API onto my X or Twitter account. The first thing to call out here is if I click this OpenAI module where it says model here, we now have the ability to choose between all the different GPT-5 models. We have the system model, that's their flagship model. We have GPT-5 Mini, and we also have GPT-5 Nano. Now, if you remember what I was showing you before with this API pricing, you'll notice GPT-5 Mini is very inexpensive, both on the input and output side, versus the GPT-5 model, which this still isn't bad in my opinion. GPT-5 Nano, also very inexpensive. So what I'm curious about going forward is how many SaaS tools and other applications that are running AI models in the background of automations are going to shift over to GPT-5 Mini or GPT-5 Nano to power their operations. I'd have to imagine it's going to be a lot of SaaS tools that are doing this. So if we go back to this automation here, what I'm going to do is test GPT-5. I'm just going to use the flagship model, and I'm going to compare that to what I get with Claude Sonnet 4 in this particular automation. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, choose where to start. I'm going to click select the first RSS feed item. So I'm going to pick an article here that's pulling from The Verge's RSS feed. Let's just do this one about ChatGPT won't remove old models. Click save. And then I'm going to click run once, and I'm going to come back and let's look at the results when this is complete. All right, so this automation was successful, but one thing to note that I actually had to go back and change is that I was originally on this GPT-5 system and it did not work, and I changed it to GPT-5 chat latest system, and that did work. So just something to call out there as I'm going through and just tinkering around with these little automation things. And so now let's go look at the responses here. So I created a new doc for each response just so we could easily compare this. Here's the outputs from GPT-5. Remember, it's repurposing that article from The Verge about OpenAI's, old models. So it's saying everyone thinks model upgrades are always progress. They're wrong. OpenAI admitted pulling 4.0 too fast was a mistake. Now they'll keep old models around before forcing changes. Do you give your users a choice or force them into what you think is better? Not terrible, I guess. Let's look at the Claude output. OpenAI admits removing GPT-4o was a miss after user revolt. Users push back hard. Now they promise to keep old. Your feedback voiced their hand. Companies listen when revenue is at risk. Not bad as well. I might give the nod a little bit to Claude Sonnet 4. Again, a very short and simplistic example. I just wanted to quickly test the API version inside automations so I could see if it ran through correctly. Just do a quick little output here. But I don't mind either of these. I'd probably post this one from Claude before I would post this one from GPT-5. But again, that is a super quick example. So I want to look at one more automation example. And in this instance, I'm having it repurpose my YouTube videos into an email newsletter. You'll see I'm comparing Claude versus OpenAI again. In this instance, though, I'm going to try Claude Haiku 3.5. And then in this example, I'm going to try the GPT-5 mini model. So what this automation is accomplishing is when I right click here and click choose where to start, choose manually, I'm going to have this automation repurpose one of my long form YouTube videos. So let's do this one. 7 best AI tools for marketing and content creation. So I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to click run once, and this is going to generate email newsletters repurposed from that long form YouTube video split between Claude and ChatGPT. So I'm going to come back when this automation is complete. All right, so the automation went through successfully, and now let's quickly look at the output. So I went ahead and created a folder for this. Here's the GPT-5 newsletter, and then here's the Claude newsletter. So I'm going to look at GPT-5. Remember, this is the mini model here. Subject line, 7 best AI tools for marketers. I like that right away. Welcome to this week's edition of AI Power Play. Quick wins, Blatato, Claude Pro, top AI news. PS, it's got that call to action. So again, similar to what I showed in the email newsletter example earlier, this is very short and concise. I definitely have to go back and tweak some of these things within the body, but for being as inexpensive as GPT-5 Mini is, I'm actually pretty impressed with the result that I got for it. And if I go look at Claude 3.5 Haiku, which remember, that is Claude's cheaper model, 7 AI tools for marketing pro. I don't like that subject line right off the bat. Ever feel overwhelmed? I like how this one is spaced out a little better, but that's nitpicky. News, quick question, hit reply and let me know. PS. So again, not a bad output, not a great output either. I'd have to come back and redo some things. But in terms of, I guess, just looking at this super high level, again, it's kind of a wash. I like the subject line that GPT-5 Mini produced. I'd probably just give the nod to GPT-5 Mini in this example versus Claude 3.5 Haiku. And when we're looking at the price comparisons, I do believe 3.5 Haiku is more expensive than GPT-5 Mini. And so this definitely has a lot of potential. I know this is a very simple example of what I'm showing you here, but I'm already liking what I'm seeing with the potential of GPT-5 Mini, and I'm definitely going to have to start using that in some of my other automations to make things more efficient. But that's just another quick example of using GPT-5 within APIs and automations that I wanted to explore. So I know there's 100 more examples and real world use cases of GPT-5 that I could show you, but if you've made it this far into the video, I truly appreciate you. If you found value in what I showed you in this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now, my overall thought though is this. Do I think GPT-5 is some extremely revolutionary AI model that's going to completely change the way that I'm doing things? I don't think so. I do think that it is a big upgrade from GPT 4.0, especially on the writing front and those other use cases that I went through in this video. I personally am not a fan of the 4.0 model, so I don't really understand all the backlash and where this is all coming from. I will say if you're a free user of ChatGPT, this is a huge upgrade in my opinion. If you're a paid user and you're a super user, this is a minimal upgrade in my opinion. I'm going to probably start using it in some of my AI automations, especially GPT-5 Mini, from just some of those kind of lower level tasks that don't necessarily require perfect outputs on the writing front or on the input front. So that's where my head is spinning through all of this. But overall, I like the direction where OpenAI is headed with GPT-5. I do think in general that this is an upgrade from the predecessors. I know there's some errors and there's some hallucinations and all the other bad things that come along with it, but I just truly do not understand this massive backlash of people crying about GPT 4.0 when, in my opinion, it wasn't that good of a model to begin with. So I don't understand that. But anyways, I could ramble on and on. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below of GPT-5. How are you using it? What do you think about it? Just want to hear what you guys have to say on this topic. But most importantly, I hope you all have a great day.